The fact that when two people get married, they come from different environments, different settings, different histories. So of course there's going to be friction. It's like rubbing two pieces of sandpaper together. But if you keep rubbing them together, what happens? It becomes smooth. People don't stay in there long enough for it to become smooth.
You're watching Restoring America, where we shine a light on the fundamental values of this country and all the reasons why they're worth saving. This week, we're going to talk about the collapse of the American family and the dire consequences that come with it. I'm Kaylee McGhee White. Let's get started. The most fundamental institution has been and always will be the family unit. Strong, stable families are directly tied to lower crime rates, a greater likelihood of economic success, and a much higher percentage of reported happiness for men, women, and children alike. Unfortunately, strong and stable families seem to be a rarity these days, with marriage and birth rates plummeting all over the country over the past few decades. My guest today, Dr. Ben Carson, says the effects of this collapse can be felt all around us. Joining me today is Dr. Ben Carson, founder of the American Cornerstone Institute and author of the new book, The Perilous Fight, Overcoming Our Culture's War on the American Family. Dr. Carson, thanks very much for being with us to talk about this very important issue, which you write about in an op-ed for us called The American Family Needs Saving. And you talk a lot about the attacks that the American family is experiencing from our culture. Can you explain some more about the threat that the American family is facing?
Well, first of all, recognize that the United States has had an amazing history. We went from a bunch of ragtag militiamen to the pinnacle of the world in record time. And that wasn't an accident. It was because of our foundation, our beliefs. And what is the foundation of a society? It is the family. That's where values get passed on. That's where you learn how to respect other people. That's where you are socialized and where you get your identity. And your identity is the basis of your beliefs. So if you have a group of people who want to overcome the incredible system that we have here, what would you do? You would attack the periphery of it, or would you attack the foundation? And if you're smart, you'd go for the foundation. Our enemies know that we can't be brought down militarily, but we can be brought down from inside. And hence the attack on the family. A very good example of that occurred recently when Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, made a statement during the commencement about the role of women and how vitally important the family and raising children was. And he was mercilessly attacked. Everything was misinterpreted, misconstrued, and that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the traditional nuclear family. And in the book, we give a lot of statistics about what happens with traditional nuclear families versus non-traditional families, which are being presented now not only as acceptable, but as the preferred thing. And when you look at Hollywood, you look at the television series, the traditional family is frequently the butt of jokes. And it's the new alternative, which is the thing that is pushed forward. Now, I don't have anything against non-traditional families. And, people can unite with whoever they want to. But to try to take that and make that the norm, and take the norm and make that abnormal, turning everything upside down on its head, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Absolutely. And one of the other symptoms of the collapse of the family that you mention in your op-ed is the radicalism that we've seen on college campuses over the past few months. Right. Students protesting for things that they don't even know anything about. Can you explain more about how this is tied back to the American family?
Well, you think about what happens when you have a good, functional, traditional family. You learn that you're not the only person in the world. You learn that other people have thoughts and that they're their opinions are just as valuable as yours are, and you learn how to respect them. You learn how to respect other people's property, that everything doesn't belong to you and you don't have a right to do whatever you want to it. You learn the value of honesty and respect. And obviously, if you don't get that in the family, you look for it elsewhere. Everybody's going to find an anchor somewhere. Children nowadays spend 4+ hours with social media and electronic media every single day. They don't spend nearly that much time with their family. And so what do you think is going to happen in a situation like that? You go off to college, you have a very different perspective, and you become easy fodder because your history gives you your identity, which gives you your belief system. And if that chain is broken, you become like a leaf blowing in the wind. And that's what's happening with these students. They see the protests going on. Oh, that's the cool thing to do. That will make me popular. And then they've also been indoctrinated into a mindset that everything can be divided into victims and oppressors. And they see Israel trying to protect itself, and they say they must be the oppressors, and the Palestinians and anything associated with them, including Hamas and Hezbollah, must be the good people.
So what are some concrete steps that we could take to start restoring the American family, to start raising it back to the pinnacle of a revered institution within our society?
Well, that's a very good question. One of the things that you see is that marriage is languishing. People are getting married much later or not at all. And we have such things as no-fault divorce, which really started gaining legs in the 60s. And it doesn't take into account the fact that when two people get married, they come from different environments, different settings, different histories. So of course there's going to be friction. It's like rubbing two pieces of sandpaper together. But if you keep rubbing them together, what happens? It becomes smooth. People don't stay in there long enough for it to become smooth. And so, that's very harmful. But we also need to emphasize to people what the statistics show. The liberal think tanks and the conservative think tanks, they all come up with the same facts, and that is children raised in a traditional nuclear family do better. They do better academically, they do better in their careers. There's much less criminal activity, much less psychological problems. And we need to put those facts on the table, and then we need to do things that enhance the development of those families rather than the things that tear them down. Also, I recommend to people that you don't spend a lot of time with Hollywood and with television, because what do you see in all the television series now? Alternatives to the traditional family, and that is drummed into you. And roles of fathers are diminished. All the fathers are like dolts, and the moms have to come in as a superhero and rescue people. I mean, it's just so aberrant and different than what it used to be. But if you're bombarded with that constantly from the time you're a little child, you begin to develop that mindset, and that's part of what they're trying to do. What would really give people a lot of perspective is to look at the congressional record, January the 10th, 1963, in which Congressman Herlong from Florida read into the record the 45 goals of communists in America. Mm. What are they trying to do, and how are they trying to change this? And talks about how they plan to infiltrate the school systems, the teacher unions, the universities, how they foment Stewart rioting for radical causes, how they make sexual deviation normal, natural and healthy, how they diminish the influence of the family, all the things that are going on right now to fundamentally change who we are, and how we, the American people, are actually pawns in their little game, and why it's so important for us to actually recognize what's going on, that there is a distinct attack on the traditional American family. Interestingly enough, a few years ago on the Black Lives Matters website, they talked about the fact that they opposed the traditional patriarchal family, and that all the children sort of are village people. They're taken care of by all of us. They belong to all of us. When it was pointed out that that was on their website, they took it down. But that's Marxist ideology, and it's rampant in our society, and we need to recognize it so that we can fight it.
Absolutely, and it's a very important issue that we are going to keep our eye on here. Thank you very much for being with us today, Dr. Ben Carson.
It's been my pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. And be sure to subscribe for more and read more at WashingtonExaminer.com.